Okay, so in this video I'm going to build a shooting board for my 5.5 Lee Nelson planer. Now what I'm going to use for the material is a scrap piece of cherry, and then also I got a scrap piece of maple. This is going to be for a 45, and this will be for straight cuts. And then also I am using a 12-inch wide piece of shelving that is 4 foot long. I'm going to cut them down to a length of 18 inches. And then also I got some screws and I'm going to attach the all the material together with. The one board, when I cut it in half, I am going to leave one the full width. The other one I will cut 2 inches short. Okay, as you can see, I've got the one board cut. This is going to be the base board, and then this right here is going to be basically the guide board. They'll go like this. I'm going to attach this like this, like this, like this. So I still need to build a cleat down here. We'll get to that in a second. But what I want to do on this board right here is create a dado, or not a dado, but a rabbet to accommodate for the blade. The material that's left will ride along, or the plane will ride along the material that is left from the rabbet. Now as you can see, I got my rabbet cut. This part here is what the plane right here is going to ride along like so. And the part that the plane rides along, as you can tell, right there where it doesn't interfere with the blade. So the next thing I want to do is attach the two boards together, and I'm going to use some glue and screws for that. So what I want to do is take this baseboard and I'm going to flip it over and lay out where I want my screws to go. So I'm probably going to put 4 screws on the ends and maybe 4 in through the middle. So I think what I'll do is come in about 1.5 inches. So now what I want to do is just basically just gauge where I don't want the screws popping out the other side on the base. So because this is where the plane's going to ride along with. So if I have any screws that's going to pop up on the other side, well then I'm going to have some issues. I'm going to use these pinhead screws, and these are about 1 inch long. I'm going to countersink them because the material is 3/4 inch, and this would only penetrate to the other board 1/4 inch. So I at least want it to go in a little bit further than that. So I'm going to countersink them, because if not, of course, these are going to be in the way. Now I'm being careful not to go too far in, because if I do, then it's liable to shoot through the other, come out the other side of the other board. I'm going to mark the edge. I don't want to get any glue past this line right here. right, I didn't have any screws come through the top. We are good to go. I didn't get any glue squeeze out from the front of it. So far, so good. Okay, as you can see, I didn't bring the board here, my guide, or my straight piece here, out to where it's equal to the, the dado down there, or the groove down there. It still have a little bit of gap. So also you can see the pencil line when I clamped it and glued it that I aligned this to. So this is where I wanted to have the piece end at. I didn't want to bring it all the way to the end. Okay, I just attached the 45 on there. The 45 though is not glued down. I made this detachable so I can remove it. So all I gotta do is just take the screws out. And also I made it even with my end board right here. So now all I need to do is make the cleat to hold it onto the bench. Okay, as you can see, I've already been using this. It works really great. So I'm just going to take a little paste wax and go ahead and now that's really going to make that planer run through there nice and easy. So we're going to start out with my number 5.5 here. And let's see what we got. Yeah, it's working just fine. I got a little bit of a line in here, and that's because of the blade itself, but other than that, it's plain. I'm getting some tear out on the back end of that, so I probably should have extended these out a tad bit more, but really to me that won't be too much of a problem, because I'll always make the piece a little wider, then rip it down to what I want, because I already know that you're going to get tear out anyway. So now let's go ahead and try my low angle plane. Now I do want to make sure that I keep any debris off of this right here, because this will affect if the plane sets on there square, and I'll show you that here in a second. It does set on here square. Yeah, the end grains turned out pretty good there. So it's doing the job. Now I ain't taking off much. You could adjust it to take off more if you wanted to, but I just tested it out to see how well it works. So let me grab a square and show you. Now you can see that does sit square right on top of there. And let's try my number 5. And we also are cutting nice and square at the very end there. So either plane I use, a high angle plane or my low angle plane, seems to work very well. Now the one thing I did do on this to help it be a little more stable is I made this bottom cleat here a little longer than the board itself. That way it helped it keep it a little bit more stable. Now, so I made some adjustments on the planer with the lever, and now I have a 90-degree corner. So this is 90 degrees to this surface, and I'm still got a 90-degree corner on this as well. Now I built this, and this is just basically a prototype. I have, I may adapt to it for my needs and what I want out of it later down the road. This was not just set in stone. I'm very well happy with this and satisfied with it. But the 45, I might come up with something a little bit different on this. I'll experiment with it later on to see if it's going to, if I need to make improvements to the shooting board or not. I like to make my own trim pieces with the router and router bits. And to make the miter cuts, and you put those on the, when you do them on your crosscut saw, your miter saw, it's more of a coarse cut, and when you glue them together, the glue doesn't hold as well as if it's smooth, and that's what this will do. This will make my miters smooth, and when I glue them together, it will be a better glue joint. So that's just something I'm just going to adapt it to as I'm doing it going down the road. So this really just isn't set in stone. So far, I really like this. I think it's going to fit my needs really well. The edge on this cherry is very nice, and so is it on the maple. I was practicing with a piece of maple earlier. As far as it being square, I did show you earlier that the bed planer here is 90 degrees to my top of my shooting board. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of good usage out of it. So until next time, I'm Edward Short, the Hoosier Craftsman. Happy and safe woodworking.